Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's absolutely beautiful day here in Spring, Texas. It is about 68 to 70 degrees, low humidity. We had a little bit of line of thunderstorms move through last night, probably about 1 o'clock in the morning. Kept the dogs up. They were barking and squealing, and because it sounded like fireworks. In fact, I think our youngest puppy, that was the first time she ever heard actual thunderstorm like that. So she was making some noise. But I wanted to give you guys a quick walk through the garden here, real quick. There's been a lot of changes since probably the last time I did a video. First of all, uh, everything started off really good this last spring. I had more vegetables planted than I could possibly imagine. We had tomatoes coming out our ears. We had banana peppers like crazy. Uh, we've got okra planted. We've got eggplants. We have, I'm just swinging around looking. We have a host of peppers. Started with jalapeno peppers. We have Anaheim peppers. We have, let's see, poblanos, which are probably my favorite peppers right now. We have uh, Tabasco peppers, and we have just started making a quart jar full of Tabasco sauce that we're going to rebottle as soon as we're finished with that. And let's see, serrano peppers. The serrano peppers actually are some of my favorites. You can put those in your salsa, and it really one or two of those in a jar of salsa gives it flavor and a little bit of heat, but it's really good. Had a lot of potted plants over the course of the summer. I had a lot of peppers in pots, small raised above ground garden type stuff, sitting on the patio. But the summer this year was ridiculous. We had May, June, July, and August, 4 months where the temperature was probably high 90s or 100 and above. And it would hit like 105, 110 degrees in a couple of days. No humidity, no rain whatsoever. It was just awful hot and dry, and it was everything I could just to keep what I had alive. A lot of plants didn't grow well. The tomatoes went dormant. We ended up losing all the tomato plants in the heat. Pulled up all the tomato plants probably in August. Interestingly, they came back. We had a lot of tomatoes that would just drop, left them laying in the beds, and when I pulled all the tomato plants up, we actually had probably a dozen nice cherry tomato plants come back up, and they're 4, 5, 6 feet high right now, and they're starting to produce plants. So let me take you on a quick walkthrough, show you what we got going on in the garden. So, you guys have probably seen me posting quite a number of pictures of the hibiscus. Right here's the yellow hibiscus, absolutely gorgeous. Lots of blooms coming through on it. Been fertilizing, iron supplements, all kinds of love and attention. Okay, these are potted rosemary plants right here. They almost didn't make it, but they've grown probably a foot in the past few weeks. I've replanted this hibiscus, planted it a little bit high to give it a lot of room to root, and it's been putting out some beautiful blooms. Bird of paradise, it's been repotted, cleaned up. All the dead branches have been clipped off, so it's looking really well also. This is a fig tree, or some people call it a ficus. It's actually two trees in one pot. I think we got it brought it home for Melissa's mother's funeral. This almost died over the summer. I had it under the canopy, uh, just trying to shade it. It was small. It came in like a 2-gallon pot. Now it's in this big planter. I've replanted it. I supported it, tied up some stakes, crossed them, through the plant to spread out the leaves to give it room to grow. And this thing is just taking off like a weed. It's doing really well. And it's pretty too. I don't know what this thing is called. It's like a bird of paradise, but it has these pretty little white flowers in it. This right here is 3 or 4 times the size. We almost lost it also. You see little brown spots on the end of the leaves. That's just normal growth, and it doesn't do well in certain conditions, but as long as it's fairly shaded and I continue to keep it watered well and it drains, it doesn't sit in a heavy pot of overly wet soil, it does great. So I'll continue to clip these leaves off, these little ones here, and trim it up, make it look good. I think this one's going to produce some beautiful flowers. There's a flower coming out right there, fresh leaf growth, lots of good looking. You see the new fresh leaf growths right here, right there. I pointed out with my thumb so you couldn't see that, sorry. My elephant ear back here actually is starting to come back. It got so hot that it almost completely destroyed the plant. I couldn't keep it wet enough. I think once you get to a certain point, you leach all the nutrients out of the soil. I've been putting the potted, flower pot soils back on there. That's what I do every year. Just kind of building up that bed in the corner. Okay, so over here, I had a lot of stuff planted in these little end pots. I had basil, I had dill, a host of other little smell good and tasty items, but they've all been pulled up. I had a couple cherry tomatoes in there, grape tomatoes, but in the end, just the heat got all of it, so it's done. Here, though, let's check out the eggplants. This thing is amazing. Over the summer, it quit producing because it was so hot, and lately, we're getting eggplants. I don't know if you can see that. Brand new. Flowers aplenty. Got flowers coming up on it. Eggplants. If you can see them, this thing probably, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 eggplant bushes. Look here, we got 1, 2, 3 eggplant dropping there. We have another one here. Beautiful eggplants. I've got a few. This one right here, the skin doesn't look so good on it because it was actually growing sitting on top of this post. This post was one of my corner anchors for a sunshade I had up over the bulk of the patio. And I bought these pots, filled them with concrete right after I had my heart surgery, by the way. I was out here pouring 80-pound bags of concrete 48 hours after I had a pacemaker planted. Hey, man, look here. And this is Minnie. She's our garden helper. She wants to say hello. Hello, Minnie. Good girl. But back over here, a couple of more eggplants. These are fresh. Little eggplants here. Just absolutely beautiful. But this thing survived the winter. I'm sorry, my bad. Completely lost my train of thought. It survived the summer. I think winter would have been better. And I think we probably got 25 eggplants on here. And all the eggplants we've gotten off of here are better than what you buy at the store. They're bigger, bulkier, they're great tasting. Okay, and a couple of hanging down here. And if you can see right here, working on catching the bane of the garden. One of the things we have that likes to snack on eggplants is our little buddies with teeth. Okay, back here I've got a trap that's been popped, but there's nothing in it. Sometimes the rats will pop the trap and they'll be dead right by it, and I don't see any. Okay, I can smell the basil. We got a few basil plants back here. I might clip some off for fresh basil and freeze it. Vacuum pack it, but these plants are about done. Basil gets bitter if you leave it too long. And this stuff has been here since the spring. I mean, it's literally 6-foot long basil plants. Got a little bit of powdery mildew. I'll clip these leaves off. But an eggplant hanging low. But smells great back here. Anyway, so that's that side of the garden. Eggplants are doing great. Okay, over here we have the okra. Okay, Melissa planted okra. She could have planted 6 plants. I think we planted almost 40. We just put seeds in little cups and they kept growing and we just kept planting them. But Melissa gets okra out of here on a regular basis. Fried okra. We use okra for gumbo bases. Okra for, I mean, okra is really good. I love okra. And we've been getting okra all year. To give you an idea, this stuff loves the heat. So this is the one plant we got that loves the heat. Look at the size of the tree trunk stems here. Okay. Wish I had deer with antlers that big. But beautiful. Every one of these little beautiful flowers becomes a new okra. So you can see they're just everywhere up in here. That one will be an okra tomorrow to pick. These here were flowers yesterday. They're going to become food in a couple of days. If they're not big enough tomorrow, they will be the day after. This right here is 3 different jalapenos I planted. The heat almost got these. I planted these from seed. They've come up. They've dropped their leaves. They've regrown their leaves. I'm really waiting for half the plant to catch up to the other half. I've gotten 1 or 2 okay jalapenos off of here, but the bushes just took such an awful hit. There were some tomatoes planted here that shaded them out. I'm thinking about maybe trimming the tops off of these just to let them bush out a little bit. You know, mind you, it's late October, and we probably have a couple of months of growing season left. Okay, these here are the poblanos. Okay, give you an idea. These things here are a couple of weeks old. They're coming along. We have lots of them. You can see all the buds. Okay, lots of them. I picked off all the old ones that just didn't come in very well. You can see like this little tiny one right here. I'll pluck that off. It's no good. I can see a dead one there. But most of the ones that are, you know, of this size, there's 12 or 15 of them for sure that I can see right off the bat. But probably going to have 40 come off of this plant in the next couple of weeks. There's a random. This is one of last year's jalapenos right down here. Some green onions still left over. A couple of different types of pepper plants in here. Like I said, we've got the poblanos. These here are the serranos. Okay, serrano peppers are coming out good. We got a couple of cute little red ones over here. There's some really nice ones right here. Look at that. Okay, coming along good. Blackberry vines are coming up. Once I pull out these pepper bushes, we're going to give the blackberries a little more room to grow because they'll produce a lot of blackberries this coming year. Okay, this is all just mint. 2 plants, 2 little tiny plants became all this mint, and the heat tried its best to kill it, but mint is like a weed. It's damn near impossible to kill. It just makes everything smell good. Okay, so these are the Anaheims. Okay, they're not as big as they were in the spring, but they're coming back. Okay, coming back. The leaves always look like hell on this plant, but look at all the peppers. You can see them all. Okay, I can't quite remember what these are. They might be Anaheims. Yes, they are. Okay, they're connected to this bush and this right here. So those are going to be really nice. So the Anaheims have been coming back. Okay. It's actually a pepper plant from New Mexico that's grown in Anaheim, California. 100 years ago it was transplanted and does well. This, if I'm not mistaken, is a jalapeno. So there's a couple of jalapeno plants that are growing. I think that actually is a mammoth jalapeno right there. So they're coming back slowly but surely. Lots of buds on top. Okay. These are the Tabascos. Now Melissa picked a pound of these little tiny peppers. They're orange still, but when they turn red, we'll pick them, boil them in a little bit of vinegar and salt, press them out, and this is actually some really hot and spicy sauce. What's this? Is that a puppy? Is that a puppy right there? Who's it? This is Minnie the gardener helper. Yeah, it's just a flower right beside her there that transplanted. We don't know how it got there from out front, but it is. A bird probably brought it. Tomato plants are making tomatoes. Okay, there's a little one right here, a little tomato right there. But look at this. They're in a flower bed that's 18 inches high, and they are neck deep on me right now. Okay, so we got 3 tomato plants right there. You can see some of these beds are empty. Okay, coming back around over here. Tomatoes, tomatoes. My God, tomatoes. Okay, now it rained last night, so the tops of these are kind of pressed down. And I got to figure out how to get them up in the air a little bit, because we've noticed that these tomato plants here will probably grow another 4 or 5 feet tall. Last summer before we pulled them out, they were probably 4 or 5 feet taller than the 6-foot tall fence. They were just out of control. We were picking 300 cherry tomatoes a day. It got to the point where we didn't have to pick them anymore. It's like we're just grab them when we need them. And it's like, we got tomatoes out back, help yourselves. They're just growing like crazy. Now they say not to prune cherry tomatoes and just let them go, but I need to since it rained last night, I need to get in here and separate them out, try to get these stems up in the air. I might actually take another tomato cage, turn it upside down, and feed all this through it just to get them up in the air. Wire the tomato cages together. Okay. Got a little skipper right here. You just say hello to the little, oh, he flew away. Now I've been fertilizing, weeding, spraying for insects, trying to keep the stuff that eats the greenery off, and make the yard enjoyable. So we have a little bit of a different kind of mint right here. Of course, the heat killed that completely. You can see all the dead I got to trim off, but it comes back up. And this stuff literally is a weed. You could let that pot turn to dust, it'll come back. This right here was practically killed by the heat. I've been tending to it. It went from tiny little few leaves to where I knew there was a root ball in there. I just tended to the roots, and here we go. It's looking good. Same type of plant, pretty little flowers on it. I'm gonna have to pull this one out though and loosen the soil up underneath it, because I do believe that it was not root bound, but the pot just stayed too wet. Another one right over here. Okay, these are really pretty. This one here was the same problem. The water drains out the bottom, but even right now it's too heavy. So it's not draining well enough, and that inhibits growth. I don't know what this is called. This is one leaf. It came home with 4 other plants from the funeral. I just stuck it in this extra pot. It drains well, it's not heavy. And all summer long I've been watering it, mostly just keeping it alive over the summer. This plant, vining whatever the heck, started off as a couple of leaves. Now I have vines draping off of this thing in ways I just can't control. I mean, it literally was just a couple of leaves. I just keep watering it, put a little fertilizer in it every now and then, and it just keeps on growing. Leading edges are looking good. Okay, that's most of the garden and the back patio. This thing over here I repotted. A couple of 3 little plants in this. Just repotted it. Put it in something that the water drains out of, so that it can be wet or moist, but not overdone. But anyway, that's a quick walk through the garden, and if anybody here is curious, I've been straightening up around the back, it was so hot this summer I didn't care. We stayed inside almost all the time, and I had a couple of projects going on. I just left everything on the inside, but I kept the grills running, and I have chicken on here for right now. Look at that. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in just a little. Oh, can you smell that? I hope you can. Shooting for 160 degrees. I have the smoker set at 225. I'm going to run this for a couple of hours, and then I will turn it up to 375 or 400 and finish it off for an hour at 375 or 400. And that's a chicken on the Traeger. Simple recipe. I stuck a 1/4 stick of butter inside the chicken just to put it in there. I brined it. If you're not brining your chicken, you're not doing it right. I mean, you're eating dried friggin' yard bird. Ugh. Brine your chicken. I took a whole chicken out of the freezer, thawed it out overnight, and it was still a block of ice 6-7 hours later. I was able to get the wrapper off it, the plastic shrink wrap, gave it a quick rinse in the sink, and there was no innards on the inside of this particular chicken. There was no neck or gizzard sack or anything like that. So I took 1 cup of kosher salts, 1 gallon of water, stirred the salt until it was dissolved, and dropped the whole chicken into the brine. Put the lid on the pots, put it in the refrigerator, and let it sit. Now, if the chicken is completely thawed out, do that for 4 hours or so, 5 hours. When you take it out, pat it dry, put your seasonings on it, and put it on your grill, smoker, in your oven, whatever you want to do. It will be the juiciest, best tasting chicken you've ever had. I promise. All right, guys. So anyway, hope you're all doing well, and got a lot of content coming up for you. I've been doing all kinds of stuff. I'll keep you updated, and give me a shout. Take it easy. Bye now.